Back here on the program on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line, one of our favorites. I love watching him on TV and certainly listening to call games, as he will do with Dan Orlovsky, Steve Levy, and Laura Rutledge on the call. The Bears, Seahawks Thursday, Falcons, Jets Monday. Both games kick off 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. The great Louis Riddick here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you been, Louis?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm sorry I was a little late for you. I just prattle on a little too much.
I was listening in, man. I was sitting there trying to envision what the hell was going on.
I know.
I'm like going, wait a minute. What am I missing here?
I know. Yeah, it's quite the word picture that you needed painted for you right there. So, what is the headline, do you think, entering this preseason week right now? Now that we know that there's no fourth preseason game anymore, this is where rubber meets road. What do you think the major headline is for you that you're looking to have identified entering week 2 of this preseason, Louis?
Yeah, you know what? I'll keep it really specific to our game.
Sure.
Because honestly, I think it's about quarterback play in different scenarios, right? And I think that's obviously the situation for every team. What's the scenario? What's the situation every team finds themselves in heading into the season? And for Seattle, I mean, Drew Lock not playing in this game throws this quarterback competition, I think, squarely right into the lap of Geno Smith to go ahead and take the bull by the horns and cement his position as the Week 1 starter, as we see it right now for Seattle. And he's going to play. He's going to play tonight or tomorrow night in a game where he's going to have more of his weapons available to him on the outside, although maybe for a limited amount of time. But this football team overall, I think offensively, is being slept on a little bit, Rich. I think everyone kind of assumes that this team is still just devoid of talent on the offensive line and that they're just a 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of team. And, Pete's trying to take them back to the Stone Ages, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing could be further from the truth. This team has one of the fastest teams in the NFL. They got speed galore on the perimeter. And they have got an offensive line with 2 young offensive tackles right now that look the part. Like they can play right now, right out of the box, as soon as you take them out of the wrapping. So I think that's what I'm looking for in this game with that. On the flip side, you have with Chicago, you have a quarterback who is not going to be, facing any competition for his starting quarterback job in Justin Fields. But man, I mean, this football team, I don't know, man. I think people need to temper their expectations if their expectations were getting a little out of whack, particularly in the city of Chicago, as for, what exactly this team is going to be able to do this year. Because their offensive line's in a state of flux, and I'm not as optimistic as I am about Seattle. They don't have nearly the kind of speed on the perimeter to help this young man out like many of the other young quarterbacks are going to have at their disposal to take their game to another level. And then on the defensive side of the ball, their very best player right now.
He is not
happy. Want to play for him.
What do you think that's all about, Louis? What's going on with Roquan Smith and that wild NFL Management Council letter to say, hey, whoever's going around to teams saying if Roquan's available in a trade isn't an agent and he's not been given permission to seek a trade? That's wild stuff right now.
Yeah,
on that.
It is, and that's what happens when you're representing yourself. And you can't obviously, have those quote-unquote back-channel conversations, a.k.a. tampering conversations that maybe some agents have with players who are under contract but who are unhappy about their current situation. Then, maybe I guess there's a guy who's trying to do that on Roquan's behalf. And I think what it all leads to is the fact that he feels as though this team isn't showing him any respect. By all reports, they offered him a contract that was severely backloaded, didn't give him the kind of guaranteed money and security up front in the first, initial years of the contract, probably the first 2-3 years of the contract that he thought he deserved. And by all accounts, when you watch his tape, talk to people who played against him, talk to people who played with him, talk to people who coached him, he's one of the top 2 off-ball linebackers in the entire NFL and is still a young centerpiece for any football team. So why wouldn't this be an easy contract negotiation for them in their rebuild, meaning we have a centerpiece right here, we take care of him, and then we continue to build out and help out the offense, help out our young quarterback, get some more pass rushers like we're going to need because Robert Quinn's not going to be around much longer. Why wouldn't this be an easy contract negotiation? I'm a little bit stumped by this one, to be honest with you, and I'm sure we're going to get into it on air Thursday night. because I'm fascinated by it. People love. I mean, Rich, people love Roquan Smith as a person and as a player, and he's going to make $9 million this year on his fifth-year option. Where other stacked linebackers like Shaq Leonard and people of that caliber are making twice that much. I wouldn't be able to stomach it either. I wouldn't have that sitting well with me either. I wouldn't want to play either. And it's going to be interesting to see how Ryan Poles navigates that here in his first year as a GM.
Louis Riddick here on the Rich Eisen Show. Again, he'll be on the call with Dan Orlovsky, Big Bag of Leaves, and Laura Rutledge on Thursday night, Bears and Seahawks. So I asked this question knowing it's still too early, but what the hell? I don't know when if we'll be chatting anytime before the season again. So I'll just throw it out to you, Louis Riddick. The rookie quarterback that you think has a chance to play first this year as a starting QB is who?
The rookie quarterback.
Yes, sir. I mean, because Pickett looked, good at second half stuff, and then, but there, Sam Howell slung it around, man, and Malik Willis was running around, even though Vrabel said he needs to throw to the guys when they're open, which I found an interesting comment. I don't know if you heard that one, but what do you think? What do you think?
No, I definitely think it will be Kenny Pickett for a number of different reasons. One, I'm just a big believer in the way that kid is put together, both mentally and physically. I believe that he is uniquely, let's just say, wired the right way to handle the expectations of going from college to pro in the same city, in the same stadium, in the same facility, to be able to handle the kind of expectations that come along with it. And I think Pittsburgh saw, and whether or not this really factors into people's decision-making, you can really quantify whether or not it does concretely or not. I think it will factor into the decision as to when he starts, how much excitement the prospect of him starting has generated in that city. I mean, you saw it when he came into the game. And even though it's the first preseason game, he leads them back to a game-winning touchdown in the last minutes of the game. And people go, that doesn't mean anything. Actually, yeah, it does, because the mindset of the football team, the passion and the fervor of the fans, the belief that the fans have in the team, all that it's just a good feel-good story on top of the fact that I think he's just a fantastic quarterback. And Mike picked him. They targeted him and they picked him. You pick a guy 20th overall not because you want to sit him on ice for an extended period of time. And as good as Mitchell played, Trubisky, and he looked, quite honestly, fantastic. I just think it's going to be Kenny's time sooner rather than later because he's just kind of made for this situation. It's really a dream situation for him. But I think Pittsburgh sees the writing on the wall.
Louis Riddick here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about year-to-year leaps and how you think they will play out. Certainly, clearly, it matters about the roster around you, and I understand that needs to be factored in. So, but let me go around the league a little bit with you. Tua, what do you think his leap is going to be with Mike McDaniel and so much speed around him? You mentioned the speed of the Seahawks offense. My gosh, it's a track meet in Miami. What do you think about the year-to-year leap that we're going to see for Tua this year?
I think it's all going to just be commensurate with his ability to stay healthy and stay on the football field, and that will lead to his leap being, the sky is the limit. I've always been a big believer in him, okay? He wasn't some scrub coming out of Alabama.
That's right.
Okay, he wasn't just throwing rocket screens and tunnel screens and slants and flat routes in Alabama. Tua was launching that ball down the field beautifully to some very good wide receivers on a very good football team, obviously. Well, now he's got a football team that has some very good wide receivers that are very fast, that can make some tremendous plays down the field. And I guess other than Tua's health, the play of his offensive line is going to be important because he can't just be getting back there and getting his rear end kicked, as has been the case in his career so far down in Miami. And lastly, you don't have to look over his shoulder. He doesn't have to wonder if Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to be inserted into the game. He doesn't have to worry whether or not the coaching staff and or front office truly believes in his ability to be the future quarterback. I think they're all aligned behind him Mike McDaniel in particular, is aligned behind him and making sure that he has everything he needs to try and be successful. And I think that freedom in his mind, on top of all the better players that he has around him, you see some of the clips that people are showing from practice and him launching the ball down the field to Jalen and to Tyreek. Tua's going to be on it this year.
Okay.
I think he's going to shut up a lot of people. Whether or not that means he stays the quarterback in Miami, because we know how that stuff can get sideways anyway when other people jump into it and just want to do what they want to do. But it ain't going to be – I believe Tua's going to shut a lot of people up this year.
Next one on the list here, Jalen Hurts. Year-to-year leap for him is going to be what, Louis Riddick? There you go.
Again, another situation where a team set him up to succeed about as well as you possibly can set up a young quarterback. All of his growth is going to come inside the pocket. If his growth really accelerates inside the pocket, then the leap is going to be significant to the point where in 2023 they're going, we don't need to look for a quarterback. If his growth inside the pocket is not where they need it to be, then 2023 is when they'll use all that draft capital to find his replacement. But I think he's capable of doing it. Yes, preseason game one, he looked fantastic. Yes, it's preseason game one. But people in Philadelphia really believe in the way that Jalen is wired. Jalen also has been a guy who's been subjected to a lot of turnover in his life as far as different play callers, different people in his year, from year to year to year to year. It's been change every year. Now he has a little bit of stability, and he has some absolute just playmakers around him. Run game, pass protection. He's another guy who I would expect him to make a significant lead. I'm not as high on him as a thrower of the football, though, as I am on a guy like Tua.
How about that? Okay. That's an interesting comparison right there.
Yep.
Trey Lance, next one for you. What do you think the leap's going to look like for him now that it's his gig? I know.
This is my personal, cheerleading story here, okay?
Okay, yep.
I am the president of the Trey Lance fan club.
I might be the vice president then, if you're the president.
There you go. Hey, and you know what? I think we're smart men, Rich.
Great.
And I think that's because, look, he is such a good person, has such a great story. You know the story, no Power 5 schools offer him any scholarship to be able to play quarterback. All of them want him to switch. His dream school, University of Minnesota, nope, you can't play quarterback here, but you can play another position. That kind of story, that kind of rejection fuels people, man. And Trey has proved people wrong his entire life. And it's not like he's some scrub either. This kid's a fantastic freaking athlete. And with that team he has around him, with that head coach and play caller he has around him, with that running game and offensive line he has around him, and with those receivers and tight end that he has around him, and the schooling he's getting every single day in practice against that defense, man, Trey Lance, I think, could have that kind of year where no one sees it coming. Just like in 2018, no one saw it coming with number 15 down there in Kansas City.
Damn.
They said, yeah, he can be good. He can be good. Oh, they must have liked him. They drafted him when they already had Alex. He's got to be good. He threw for all those yards down at Texas Tech. But. And people are saying the same crap about Trey. Well, he's there. He's inaccurate in practice. He missed a deep dig route to Debo. He can't throw the ball with accuracy. Well, he's a little bit behind as far as his processing. Blah, 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 blah. Look, as Kyle said, he's right where we expect him to be. He's moving along and making the leaps right as we expect him to. It's not going to be perfect. But he also said, this is what we expect. And there is a reason why we moved up to 3 to draft him. Man, I think the kid's going to blow up. I absolutely think he's going to blow up.
Louis Riddick here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, last one for you. Year-to-year leap. I've already given you some quarterbacks that are young and unproven or need to prove themselves or have an opportunity. I'm going to go in the opposite direction here. Year-to-year leap you would expect, Louis Riddick, for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. What do you think?
He doesn't have to run for his life now because that offensive line is going to be, the whole right side of it from center to right tackle totally revamped.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, if he just had an extra tick in the Super Bowl, they win the game because he's going to hit Jamar Chase and they're going to win it. So for Joe, he's thinking, damn, I did all that getting my head beat in. Now if I can just sit back here clean Jamar's a year better. T. Higgins wants to get his respect. Tyler Boyd's one of the best slot players in the NFL. I got 3 mammoths on the right side of the line. The defense is better. They drafted a bunch of good playmakers in the secondary. Someone get the ball back even more, have more cracks at it. Joe Burrow will be in the MVP conversation.
Oh,
we did a bunch of quarterback ranking exercises, man, at ESPN. You know how everybody's doing all these rankings. Joe Burrow, for me,
yep.
Joe Burrow's top 5 quarterback. Joe Burrow may be a top 3 quarterback. It may be Brady, Tom, Aaron, Joe. He's right in there.
Bills fans are probably Bills fans will be like, "Where's Josh Allen?" But
of course, but you know what? When you objectively look at some of the metrics, like like next gen completion percentage above expectation and QB, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow, he's right in there, top 3, 4, 5, top 3, 4, 5, every category, every single one. Behind the offensive line, that my high school offensive line could have blocked better than the points last year, and that's a fact. I mean, we saw it. You saw it. We all saw it.
Yeah.
And Joe, this year, he don't have to run for his life. He doesn't have to be perfect every single time. Last year, he had to be perfect every play. Otherwise, he knew that his life was in danger from getting hit. This year, hopefully it won't be that way. And if he can operate under, with that kind of comfort, man, just think of how much better this guy can. And we all know how he's wired anyway. He's another guy with a chip on his shoulder, another guy who feels like he needs to prove something all the time. And that stuff never leaves you, man. You never lose that edge. Shit, Tom Brady hasn't lost it in 21 years of playing pro football. He still feels disrespected. Joe Burrow's wired that same way, it seems like. I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff.
And he doesn't have an appendix to weigh him down anymore, so he's got the,
yeah, that's
see how it works. He's riding a cart out there, leading. I just man, you just got. I just want to run through a wall now and talking to you, Lewis. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the insight. I literally could talk to you for all 3 hours for this program. So I genuinely appreciate it when you answer my call and look for more of them. Thanks again. Have a great time calling the games next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rich.
You got it. Check it out. Lewis Riddick along with Dan Orlovsky, Steve Levy, Laura Rutledge on the call of Bears Seahawks Thursday, then Falcons Jets Monday. Kickoff each time, 8 Eastern on the worldwide leader in sports.